Abolitionist. Am I not a man and a brethren? Am I not a woman and a sister? What's an abolitionist? An abolitionist is someone who opposes slavery and actively contributes to efforts to eliminate it. The most famous African American abolitionist, Douglass, was born in the state of Maryland in 1818. Since Maryland was a slave state, he was born into life of slavery. In 1838, at the age of 20, he escaped. He escaped slavery by disguising himself as a sailor and fleeing north to the state of Massachusetts. It was illegal to teach slaves how to read. However, Douglass managed to learn despite his prohibition and would use this to his advantage later on in life. Once you learn to read, you will be forever free. Frederick Douglass. He also became the editor of a newspaper named the North Star. He published work in the newspaper along with his moving speeches, led to an incredible rise in the level of influence he had. He spread his anti slavery message abroad by traveling to several nations outside of US, in particular Europe, most notably in London, England, where he made numerous speeches before large audiences. After spending time away from the US, he decided to return. This is because he felt that he would be more effective abolitionist if he could fight the issue of slavery at its source. I would unite with anybody to do right and with nobody to do wrong. Frederick Douglass. Another famous abolitionist was Sojourner Truth, a female African American born a slave in New York in 1797. She was born as Isabella, Bell for short, Barfree, and would later change her name. She escaped slavery in 1826 and officially became a free citizen in 1827 when the state of New York abolished slavery. In 1843, she changed her name to Sojourner Truth. Sojourner Truth is my name because from this day I will walk in the light of God's truth. She became a vocal and influential supporter of abolition and women's rights. The most famous speech she gave was on May 29th, 1851 in Akron, Ohio. Her speech was titled Ain't I a Woman, of which transcripts were published across the country in numerous newspapers. The daughter of New England minister, she later moved with her family to Cincinnati, Ohio, where she spent most of her childhood. Harriet Beecher Stowe. As a child, she witnessed numerous acts of abuse toward slaves, including the act of tearing slave families apart after they were auctioned off and then loaded onto ships along the Ohio River, which runs adjacent to Cincinnati. She later married a professor of religion and wrote numerous books on social reform issues such as abolition, abolish. The most famous and influential book she wrote was Uncle Tom's Cabin. Published in 1852, the book sold over 300,000 copies in its first year of being published, an impressive number even for today. The book used real world examples on how slaves were treated. Throughout her life, Stowe had witnessed the many injustices and evils of slavery, which she vividly wrote about in the book. The fictional slave characters Stowe wrote about in the book were subjects to these injustices and evils. While the characters of the book were fictional, the manner in which they were treated was not. Stowe captivated her readers by using detailed descriptions about the realities of slavery. These factors led to the book's profound effect it had on American culture and society, especially in regards to the issue of slavery. The book's impact was so far reaching that many Americans' attitudes and feelings over the issue of slavery began to shift from one of the acceptance to one of opposition.